Welcome to Global Marketing, Chapter number 7, Unit number 6, Segmentation, Targeting, and Positioning. Introduction. In this chapter, we will cover how to identify like groups of potential customers, how to choose the groups of target, how to segment those groups, and how to position the brand in the mind of the customer. Market segmentation. Market segmentation represents an effort to identify and characterize groups of customers and countries according to common characteristics. Targeting. Targeting is the process of evaluating segments and focusing marketing efforts on a country, region, or group of people that has significant potential to respond. It focuses on the segments that can be reached most effectively, efficiently, and profitably. Positioning. Positioning is required to differentiate the product or brand in the minds of the target market. Global market segmentation. Global market segmentation is based on the premise that companies should attempt to identify customers in different countries who share similar desires and needs. It is defined as the process of identifying specific segments, whether they be country groups or individual consumer groups or potential consumers with attributes who are likely to exhibit similar responses to a company's marketing mix. Contrasting views on global segmentation. Conventional wisdom versus unconventional wisdom. For example, conventional wisdom might assume that consumers in Europe and Latin America are interested in World Cup soccer while those in America are not. Unconventional wisdom would note that global jock segment exists in countries including the United States. Similarly, conventional wisdom might assume that because per capita income of Pakistan is low, people living in Pakistan would not be wealthy. Unconventional wisdom would note the presence of higher income and middle class segment in Pakistan. Conventional wisdom. Conventional wisdom assumes heterogeneity, differences between countries. It assumes homogeneity, that is, similarity within a country. It focuses on macro level of cultural differences. It relies on clustering of national markets together. And there is less emphasis on within country segments. Unconventional wisdom. It assumes emergence of segments that transcend national boundaries. It recognizes existence of within country differences. It emphasizes micro level differences and segments micro markets within and between countries. Today, global companies and the research and advertising agencies that serve them use market segments to identify, define, understand, and respond to customer wants and needs on a worldwide rather than a strictly local basis. As we have noted many times in this course, global marketers must determine whether a standardized or adapted marketing mix is required to best serve those wants and needs. By performing market segmentation, marketers can generate the insights needed to devise the most effective approach. The process of global market segmentation begins with the choice of one or more variables to use as a basis of grouping customers. Global market segmentations include demographics, psychographics, behavioral characteristics, and benefits sought. Demographics includes income, population, age distribution, gender, education, and occupation. Demographic facts and trends. A widening age gap exists between the older population in the West and the large working age population in developing countries. In the European Union, the number of consumers aged 16 and under is rapidly approaching the number of consumers aged 60 plus. Asia is home to 500 million consumers aged 16 and under. Half of Japan's population will be age 50 or older by 2025. Demographic changes can create interesting opportunities for marketing innovation. America's three main ethnic groups include African or Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, and Asian Americans, and they represent a combined annual buying power of $1 trillion. The United States is home to 28.5 million foreign born residents with a combined income of $233 billion. By 2030, 20% of US population, 70 million Americans, will be 65 or older versus 13% today. India has the youngest demographic profile among the world's large nations. More than half of its population is under the age of 25, and the case of Pakistan is also very similar. Segmenting by income and population. After segmenting in terms of a single demographic variable, income, a company can reach the most affluent markets by targeting fewer than 20 nations, the European Union, the North America, and Japan. And combined, these three regions are known as triad. By doing so, however, the marketeers are not reaching to almost 90% of the world's population. A word of caution is in order. Data about income and population have the advantage of being widely available and inexpensive to access. While providing some measure of market potential, such macro level demographic data should not necessarily be used as a sole indicator of presence or absence of a market opportunity. This is especially true when an emerging country market or region is being investigated. Income is a valuable segmentation variable. Two-thirds of world's GNP is generated in triad, European Union, North America, and Japan, but only 12% of world's population is in triad. Do not read too much into the numbers. Some services are free in developing nations, so there is more purchasing power. For products with low enough price, population is a more important variable. Age segmentation. Young consumers may not yet have conformed to cultural norms, indeed, they may be rebelling against them. This fact, combined with shared universal wants, needs, and desires and fantasies for brands, novelty, entertainment, trendy, and image oriented products, make it possible to reach the global teen segment with a unified marketing approach. This segment is attractive both in terms of its size, around 1.3 billion people, and its multi billion dollar purchasing power. Companies like Coca Cola and Sony are some of the companies pursuing the global teen segment. The global elite is normally associated with older individuals who have accumulated wealth over the course of a long career. It also includes movie stars, musicians, elite athletes, and others who have achieved great financial success at a relatively young age. These are usually well traveled and have enough money to spend on prestige and exclusivity. Gender segmentation. In focusing on the needs and wants of one gender, do not miss the opportunity to serve the other. Companies may offer product lines for both genders, for example, Nike and Levi's. Psychographic segmentation. It is the grouping of people according to attitudes, values, and lifestyles, also known as VALs. Data are obtained from questionnaires that require respondents to indicate the extent to which they agree or disagree with a series of statements. Psychographics is primarily associated with the Stanford Research Institute International (SRI), a market research organization whose original VALs, values, attitudes, and lifestyles, and updated VALs 2 analysis of consumers is widely known. For example, they divide Porsche market into 5 categories. Top guns are about 27% of their market. They are ambitious, they are powerful, and they want control. Elitists comprise of 24%. They have the old money, which is money inherited from ancestors, and car is just a car for them. Proud patrons are 23%. For them, car is a reward of hard work. Bon vivients are 17%, and car is an excitement and adventure for them. Fantasists are about 9%, and car is a form of escape for them. The Euro consumer. Researchers have identified 4 lifestyle groups which are highlighted here. Number 1, successful idealists. They comprise of 5 to 20% of the population. They consist of persons who have achieved professional and material success while maintaining commitment to abstract or socially responsible ideals. Affluent materialists, status conscious, up and comers. many of whom are business professionals. They use conspicuous or obvious consumption to communicate their success to others. Comfortable belongers. They comprise of 25% to 50% of the country's population. They are typically conservative. They are most comfortable with the familiar things. They are content with the comfort of home, family, friends, and community. This affected survivors. They lack power and affluence, that is, money. They harbor little hope for upward mobility. They tend to be either resentful or resigned. They are usually concentrated in high crime urban inner city, and their attitudes usually tend to affect the rest of the society. Behavior segmentation. Behavior segmentation focuses on whether or not people buy and use a product, as well as how often and how much they use or consume. Consumers may be characterized in terms of usage rates, for example, heavy, medium, light, or non users. Consumers can also be segmented according to user status: potential users, non users, ex users, regular users, first time users, and users of competitors' products. Nine country markets generate about 80% of McDonald's revenue. This situation represents McDonald's executives with strategy alternatives. Should the company pursue growth in the handful of countries where it is already well known and popular, or should it focus on expansion and growth opportunities in the scores of countries that as yet contribute little to the revenue and profits? Behavior segmentation focuses on whether people purchase a product or not, how much and how often they use it. It focuses on the user status. And here, the Pareto law usually is very helpful. It is also known as the law of disproportionality, and it is also known as the 80-20 rule. It states 80% of a company's revenue are accounted for by 20% of its customers. In simple words, it means that 80% of its sales comes from 20% of its customers. Behavior segmentation focuses on value equation, and value is represented as benefits divided by price. The benefits that a customer gets in response to spending the money on that product or service. Based on understanding the problem a product solves, the benefit it offers, or the issues it addresses. Marketers of health and beauty also use benefit segmentation. Many toothpaste brands are straightforward cavity fighters, and as such, they reach a very broad market. However, as consumers become more concerned about whitening, sensitive teeth, gum disease, and other oral care issues, marketers are developing new toothpaste brands suited to the different sets of perceived needs. Ethnic segmentation. From a marketing point of view, these groups offer great opportunities. Companies in a variety of industry sectors, including food and beverages, consumer durables, and leisure and financial services, are recognizing the need to include these segments when preparing marketing programs worldwide. The population of many countries includes ethnic groups of significant sizes. There are three main groups in the US, including African Americans, Asian Americans, and Hispanic Americans. In Pakistan, there are ethnic groups like the Sikhs, the people from Hazara district, Gilgit Baltistan, Hindus, and even Christians. Assessing market potential, be mindful of the pitfalls or the difficulties. After segmenting the market by one or more of the criteria just discussed, the next step is to assess the attractiveness of the identified segments. This part of the process is especially important when sizing up emerging markets as potential targets. It is at this stage that global marketers should be mindful of several potential pitfalls or difficulties associated with market segmentation process. A few things that you should be mindful about are tendency to overstate the size and short-term attractiveness of individual country markets. The company doesn't want to miss out on a strategic opportunity. Management's network of contacts will emerge as primary criteria for targeting. Assessing market potential, three basic criteria: current size of the segment and anticipated growth potential, potential competition, compatibility with countries' overall objectives, and the feasibility of successfully reaching the target audience. Current segment size and growth. Is the current market segment currently large enough to present a company with an opportunity to make a profit? If the answer is no, does it have significant growth potential to make it attractive in terms of a company's long term strategy? Potential competition. Over the past several decades, for example, Japanese companies in a variety of industries targeted the US market despite the presence of entrenched domestic market leaders. Some of the newcomers proved to be extremely adept at segmenting and targeting. As a result, they made significant inroads. In the motorcycle industry, for example, Honda first created the market for small displacement dirt bikes. The company then moved upward with bigger bikes targeting at usual riders whose psychographic profile was quite different than that of the hardcore Harley Davidson rider. In document imaging, Canon outflanked Xerox by offering compact computer copiers and targeting department managers and secretaries. Similar case studies can be found in earth moving equipment and numerous other industries. So the question here is there currently strong competition in the market? Is the competition vulnerable in terms of price or quality? Feasibility and compatibility. If a market segment is judged to be large enough and if strong competitors are either absent or deemed to be vulnerable, then the final consideration is whether a company can and should target that market. The feasibility of targeting a particular segment can be negatively impacted by various factors. For example, significant regulatory hurdles may be present that limit market access. This issue is especially important in China today. The company may encounter cultural barriers. The questions here will be: will adaptation be required? If so, is this economically justifiable in terms of expected sales? Will import restrictions, higher tariffs, or a strong home country currency drive up the price of the product in the target market currency and effectively dampen demand? Feasibility and compatibility. The questions we need to ask here are: is it advisable to source locally? Would it make sense to source product in the country for export elsewhere in the region? Is targeting a particular segment compatible with the company's goals, brand image, or established sources of competitive advantage? Framework for selecting target markets. Demographic information. Demographic information is the starting point but not the decision factor. Product market must be considered. The term product market refers to the market identified by a product category. In the automotive industry, for example, purchases such as luxury car market or SUV market and minivan market refer to the specific product market. By contrast, phrases such as the Russian market or the Indian market refer to country markets. Marketing model drivers. Marketing model drivers must be considered. Marketing model drivers are key elements or factors required for a business to take root and grow in a particular country market environment. The drivers may differ depending on whether a company serves consumers or industrial markets. Does success hinge on establishing or leveraging brand name, or is distribution or a tech-savvy sales staff the key element? Marketing executives seeking an opportunity must arrive at insights into the true driving forces that will affect success of their particular product market. Are there any enabling conditions present? Enabling conditions are structural market characteristics whose presence or absence can determine whether a marketing model can succeed. For example, in India, refrigeration is not widely available in shops and market food stalls. This creates a challenge for companies like Nestle and Cadbury as they attempt to capitalize on India's increasing appetite for chocolates. 9 questions for creating a product market profile. Who buys our product? Who does not buy our product? What need or function does it serve? Is there a market need that is not being met by current product or brand offerings? What problems does our product solve? What are the consumers buying to satisfy the need for which our product is targeted? What price are they paying? When is product purchased? Where is it purchased? Target market strategy options. Number 1. Standardized global marketing. It focuses on mass marketing on global scale. It is undifferentiated target marketing. That is, one marketing mix is used on all the market. It uses undifferentiated target marketing. It uses a standardized marketing mix. There is minimal product adaptation. There is insensitive distribution, low production costs, and lower communication costs. Option number two, concentrated global marketing. Here, there is a niche. This uses niche marketing technique. A single segment of global market is identified. It aims to look for global depth rather than national breadth. Companies like Chanel and Body Shop are examples of companies that use concentrated global marketing. Differentiated global marketing. It uses multi-segment targeting. Two or more distinct markets are identified and targeted. There is wider market coverage. Companies like P&G, Hugo Boss for Men are examples of companies that use differentiated global marketing techniques. Positioning. Positioning is locating a brand in consumers' mind over and against competitors in terms of attributes and benefits that the brand does and does not offer. It takes into considerations the attributes or benefits, quality and price, use or user, and competition. Positioning strategies. Number one, global consumer culture positioning. It identifies the brand as a symbol of a particular culture or segment. High touch and high tech products. High tech products include cell phones, luxury cars, financial systems, Canon cameras, or Nike joggers. High touch products include things like Nescafe coffee, things that you use on a regular basis. Foreign consumer culture positioning. It associates the brand's users, use occasions, or product origins with a foreign country or culture. Local consumer culture positioning. It identifies with local cultural meanings, it is consumed by local people, it is locally produced for local people, it is frequently used for food, personal, and household non durables. This marks the end of unit number 6. Thank you.